A lot of what we'll be doing in After Effects, we create from scratch right within After Effects. So creating things like titles and motion graphics, you can build most of that right within After Effects. Other times, though, you'll be using After Effects to apply visual effects to video clips, or you'll be using photographs that you created and you'll be adding effects to that. Or maybe you'll even be adding music and sound effects right within After Effects. I typically do that in Adobe Premiere Pro because it's a little bit easier and more efficient for me, but you can still do it in After Effects. To import media into your project to work on, just go to your Finder folder or your Documents folder, and then you can simply drag any asset into your project bin. So for example, if I wanted to bring in this picture of a kangaroo that I shot in Australia, I can just simply drag it and drop it in After Effects. And you can see that when I get that plus green button, it means that I can drop it into my project panel. And then the other ways you can import are just by right-clicking, choose Import, and then choose File. And then you could go to your folders through this. So for example, if I wanted to bring in some music, I can pick this music, click Open. Or I could go up to File, Import, again, Import File. Let's import a video, for example. We'll do this video sample and click Open. Once it's imported, I definitely suggest organizing your footage. I typically create folders or bins for the different types of footage. So for example, I can create a new folder by clicking this New Folder button and then call it Video, for example. And then I would put all of my video clips in this video folder. Or if I'm working on multiple compositions within the same project, which I'll tend to do, I have many compositions right within one project, I might separate them into different folders. For example, I would typically have a name for these graphics, but I would call this graphic 1. And then within this graphic 1 folder, I would put all the music and all the photos that I used for this graphic. And within this folder, I might even create subfolders for photos, for example, and then put the photos within that folder. I find it is going to help you a lot if you learn to organize your footage. There's no right or wrong way to do it. I think you just kind of have to figure out what works best for you, and it might change depending on the project. But please keep everything organized as you work through your projects. It will just make you a better After Effects user in the long run. How do you actually work with this footage or all of these assets that you're bringing in? Well, you basically add them to your timeline. There's different ways to do that. Let me take this photo, for example, and drag it into my composition. There's two ways to do it. You can drag it right onto your composition window itself or down into the timeline. Now let me show you what happens when I drag it onto the composition. See, it just pops in right there. And you'll notice that this layer has been added to our After Effects timeline down here. And it's been added to this entire sequence or this entire composition from start to finish for all 5 seconds. Now let me take the same photo, again, drag it into the timeline, but you'll see now that as I drag from left to right, there's that little icon that moves left and right in the timeline bar, and this is where it's going to start. So if I want it to start at 1 second, for example, I'll just drop it right there. And now you'll see that this photo starts at 1 second. I can move the current time indicator to the right and see where this one starts. But you'll see that I don't see that photo that I just added down here. And that's because it's beneath this other kangaroo photo. So if I want, I can drag this second kangaroo photo, this layer right here, above the other one by clicking on it over here in the left-hand side of the timeline above our other kangaroo. And you'll see that it actually added it to sort of a different position. This first one, it added to where I dropped it. Let me delete that one more time to show you. So if I want to move, drag it and drop it in over on the right-hand side, I can do that. Now, again, I'm going to move this beneath my other kangaroo layer. And you'll see if I scrub through just by clicking and dragging through this composition, it goes from this photo to that photo. So think of After Effects as layering different media assets on top of each other. Whatever's on top will show. In the next lesson, we'll be using and looking at some of the most important tools up here in the toolbar.